up in Christchurch, New Zealand, before crossing the Tasman to become a regular on Australian TV, radio and stage. One of our best-loved entertainers, please welcome Cal Wilson. Cal Wilson.
Brian Nankervis.
Yes, that's correct. Now, what do you feel when you look at some of these early shots?
I think, man, did we really wear that?
Some fashion crimes.
Indeed.
All right, let's go right back to the very beginning. The family unit.
OK, so that's my dad, who's rocking the tie and short sleeve shirt look. And even though that's what he's wearing, he's not actually working at a photocopying counter. He's actually an engineer at the council. That's Barbara, my mother, known as Barbie. And my two older brothers wearing matching bowl haircuts. That's Richard and Sean, and the next bowl haircut is me.
Is little Cal. Yeah. And the two brothers close?
We would fight all the time, and because I was the youngest, I was never going to beat them physically, but if I could piss them off, I would win. So I think I got verbally really quick.
Right.
And also they've given me a lot of material, the stuff they used to do to me.
Favourite tricks?
Favourite tricks? My brother Sean, who was that adorable little one there, when I was about 6 or 7, he would pretend to go blind and chase me around the house.
He would pretend to go blind?
Yeah, so we'd be in the, and I don't know why I was so frightened of that, but we'd be standing in the living room and he'd go, "Oh, I can't see anything." And I'd go, "Oh, what's happened?" He'd go, "I've gone blind." And then he would start to go, like, the way to make it look really authentic that you're blind is if I'm trying to talk to you, I'd just look over here. And then he'd start to try and find me and I'd be backing away going, "Oh, he's gone blind." And wherever I went, he would find me because he wasn't blind. But I would lose my mind. I'd be hiding behind furniture and he would chase me and chase me and chase me until he got bored. And this would happen about once a week. And I would never catch on. And the other thing that he used to do was if I ever had to stay in his room, because we had visitors sleeping in my bed, he would pretend to die. And it would go like this. So I would be lying there and then he would go, "Oh, I don't feel very well. I think I might die." And I'd go, "Oh, don't die." And he'd go, "No, I really don't." And then I'd go, "Mum!" And my mum would come down and, of course, he'd just be peacefully asleep, looking so angelic and everything. And then she'd go, "It's all right, he's just asleep. Sean's just asleep. He's asleep." And I'd be, "He died." And, "No, it's OK." And then she would leave and then he would go, "I didn't die that time."
And again, you didn't catch on.
Did not catch on.
All right, young Cal, what are you wearing, what are you holding?
I think I'm wearing something that used to be a sofa. I think I'm wearing something that my grandmother probably made me in a textured fabric. Corduroy with patterns on was very big in the 70s.
Yes.
And that bear that I'm holding is called Bruno. And he was a hand-me-down from both my older brothers. And by the time I got to him, he'd developed a rather unfortunate hole in the crutch, which meant that you could partially unstuff him and pretend he was going to the toilet. I didn't. Yeah, he was just, I think a great aunt knitted him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And were you one of those children who had imaginary friends?
All my stuffed toys had personalities and names and characters, so they weren't imaginary in that they were there, but they got up to a lot more in my head than they did in real life.
I think we've got some of your stuffed friends coming up. But the classic Santa photo, and again, the bowl cuts.
Mum just used to take us to a friend of hers who would do haircuts out of her kitchen, as you can probably tell. And ignoring the fact that one of her children was a girl, she would just go, "3 page boys, thanks." And the woman would give us all the same haircut.
Good Santa or weird Santa?
I think he was all right. We all look pretty pleased with what's happening.
Now, more soft toys.
Yes.
And I believe it's an important photo because it was the first photograph you took.
This is my earliest work. This was taken on the the camera that I got for my birthday. It was a Kodak Extra 200. And this was the shot that I carefully lined up with all of my toys, who were supposed to be in the centre of the photo. And so this was Hoobie. Hoobie was the first toy that I remember getting at the age of 3. He was my confidant. There was Fur Puff, Boo, who was actually an unstuffed doorstop. But you could put him on your arm and he was a puppet. Right. We could put him on your leg and pretend that you were Chewbacca. And that's Padna. He was a panda. Just switched a couple of letters, that'll do. That was Floppy. He was called Floppy because he had floppy ears. Charlotte, a China doll. Don't know who that is. He might have just photobombed the picture.
And we're moving from stuffed toys to real animals.
This is our cat Puskins, and I am a mad cat lady.
Right.
And I've always, all I ever wanted as a kid was a cat. But my scary grandmother,
yes,
who was my dad's mum, grew up on a farm and hated animals. She just hated animals, and so for some reason, even though she didn't live with us, she decreed that we couldn't have a cat. And so Puskins just arrived and adopted us, and we had her for a couple of months, and then Gran put her foot down and Puskins had to go somewhere else. Like, that she hated cats to the point where if a cat sat on her fence, she would get the hose out and hose it off the fence. Or she would boil the jug and throw hot water at the cat. She never got them, but that's exactly how I felt whenever she did it. So she just loathed animals.
She didn't need to boil the jug.
No, cats don't really love cold water.
No, that's right.
She could have saved the electricity.
Wow, and so she said, you keep that cat, I'm not coming around.
Yeah, which would
have been an escape clause.
Yeah.
For all of you.
Yeah, so that's the day before Puskins went to her new home. But it was something that my mum said years later, I'm so sorry that we gave your cat away, which I thought was really sweet, but too late.
Yeah. Do you reckon your dad was aware of your feelings about Scary Grandma?
I don't think so, not until I grew up and everyone... Because I'd sort of go, oh, Gran's a bit mean to me, and everyone would go, oh, it's just Gran, sort of thing. And then years later, when I was in my 20s, people would start to go, actually, she's pretty... Like, she had a great way of... she'd start to pay you a compliment, but it would turn into an insult. One was, I think it's wonderful the way your parents can still be proud of you. So she was quite scary, but also really funny.
Right.
Really... she was cacking herself after she said that. You know.
She knew.
Yeah, but I think, you know, she was a great storyteller and all of that side of the family are great talkers. And so we sort of, when we're together, the family doesn't really have conversations. It's just sort of a tag team monologue that one person will talk until they can't breathe, and then someone else will jump in and talk until they can't breathe. And we used to joke that my grandmother had developed circular breathing because she could just go and go and go.
Wow.
But at the end of it, you'd be going, I'm sorry for what I did.
Enough. All right. Cal, you went to the hairdresser. What did you ask for?
I asked for a crash helmet made of hair.
Technically a perm.
That haircut was such a mistake. I was so excited about getting a perm. Wasn't allowed to get a perm till I was 15.
First one.
Saved up, really expensive. It was like $60 or something like that. Was so excited about getting this perm. I went to school the next day and walking down the lockers, people spontaneously burst into laughter. And it was the most embarrassing moment.
Gee. All right, 2 to go. Now, look, a couple of people look like they're trying to squash the perm there.
I don't think anyone's looking at the perm. I think they're looking at the matching acid wash jeans.
Theatre sports? Theatre sports. Towards the end of high school?
Yep, that was my last year at high school. So someone had come back from Australia and heard about this amazing new thing called theatre sports. And so our drama teacher started teaching us, and then we did a sort of a community theatre sports competition and ended up winning it. And then from there, we started an improv company and started doing regular shows at the Court Theatre.
Wow.
And so I think that started in 1990 and they're still going in Christchurch. Every Friday night there's still an improv show. And even though the Court Theatre was partially destroyed in the earthquake, they've found a new spot for the Court Theatre. It's in a warehouse now, but it's still the same and it's still there's still stuff going on. And that I find that really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, final shot, and it's a beauty. Listen to the roars of approval. We've all been there, ladies and gentlemen.
That's my seventh form, my formal, and I had that made on purpose, that dress, for some reason. And clearly I'd gone for the perm again, but only on one side. And I thought having gloves was just the height of sophistication.
Right.
And what you can't see is the matching boyfriend who had a cummerbund made out of that material and hair like that on both sides.
He was the full package.
He was the full curly mullet.
Wow.
Yeah. My parents loved him.
And how did the night end up?
I think the night ended up...
I mean, I don't mean the very end, but, you know...
I think it was one of those things where, you know, you get so excited about something and when it actually happens, it's not that great.
Yes.
So I think it was more going to the hairdressers and getting my hair done and shopping for weeks to find one giant earring and to go with the inappropriate necklace that I'd bought that was really uncomfortable to wear and dyeing the shoes. The shoes were a different colour, but I dyed them black and wanting a dress that looked a little bit like a blue cake and just all of that.
And so how was the date?
The date was fine. The guy that I was going out with at the time, he was the first boy that I was intimate with. And...
Sit back, settle in.
The reason it sticks in my mind is that after we'd first been to bed together, he said to me, "You're good enough to be a prostitute."